2 pit bulls brutally mauling a 67-year-old grandmother.
A stray pit bull put his own life at risk by rushing to a woman's rescue during an attack in Georgia.
The injuries, of course, very, very serious. They came as a result of 2 pit bulls.
Less than 100 years ago, pit bulls were the most sought-after breed of dog. Even Helen Keller called them her best friend. But now they're portrayed as America's biggest killer. So let's go sit down and find out what the truth is.
Hi guys, so it's Katie Bang, and today we are sitting down to talk about pit bulls. This isn't going to be my opinion and thinking that this is my experience with pit bulls, so this is the one and only answer, because what I found is with documentaries about pit bulls or anything about pit bulls, it's very, very one-sided. It's either pit bulls are the best dog in the world or pit bulls are monsters and killers. So I think that one thing I've learned growing up is there's always truth to every single side of the story, and it's usually somewhere in the middle. So I thought it would be very interesting to figure out how pit bulls got here, what happened, what pit bulls actually are. And I think in the media there's a lot of this pit bull killed this person, they're awful, but we never really sit down and get to the bottom of it, or just there's really no place where you can go and get all of the facts. So that's what I want to be. I just want to provide all the facts I possibly can so that you can create your own opinion on pit bulls after hearing the facts and after educating yourself. First things first, I think we need a little bit of a history lesson. Pit bulls are kind of a blanket term nowadays, but what an actual pit bull is pretty much a dog that was made by breeding a bulldog and a terrier to get the strength of a bulldog and the speed and agileness of a terrier so that you could have the best of both worlds. But now it's kind of a blanket term for Staffordshire Terriers, bulldogs, any type of bully breed really. So a lot of what you're thinking is a pit bull or what you're hearing as a pit bull is just some type of the bully breed. So in the 1930s, there was a racehorse named Pit Bull, and it was a really famous racehorse. A lot of people loved him. And then in the 1930s and so on, people referred to really good athletes as pit bulls. It was a compliment to be called a pit bull. It was something that everyone wanted to be. It was something that everyone aspired to be because pit bulls were so respected in America. Something that I found really, really, really interesting is that in the 1980s, a pit bull attack was really never even heard of. And before that, like less than 100 years ago, pit bulls were thought of as the best family dog. They had the nickname the nanny dog, which obviously isn't right because a dog shouldn't be a nanny for a kid, but it was just an exaggerated way to say that they were like the kids' protectors. And they had a really cool history. Helen Keller had one as her dog, so they were known for being very caring, loyal, protective dogs. Now let's fast forward to 1986. Over 30 communities are looking to put a ban on pit bulls. It just seems like such a drastic change, so I really wanted to look into it. What happened was they were used for guard dogs because they were so loyal and so willing to please that people started to exploit them. Drug dealers started using them on the streets. They were definitely taken advantage of for drugs and guarding drugs. And then 1987 rolls around after pit bulls are already starting to not get a great name, and a pit bull attacks a 2-year-old because the pit bull was trained to guard this marijuana plant. The 2-year-old was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The pit bull was doing what it was trained to do and mauls a 2-year-old boy to death. And obviously that isn't going to make a very good impression on the public. So that summer of 1987, the 30 places that were looking to ban pit bulls went through with the ban. After 1987 and the ban went through with the pit bulls, a lot of animal professionals were saying that this was not okay, that just discriminating against one breed of dog wasn't the solution, that the solution should be discriminating against the people that are exploiting this breed that is so eager to please. A lot of people know that Rottweilers and Dobermans have kind of made a comeback. They're way more popular as family dogs than they were in the 70s, because in the 70s it was the exact same thing happening to the Doberman as it is to the Pit Bull today.
I'm getting genuinely angry, and I don't get angry a lot. I get sad a lot, but not angry, but I'm like the most heated I've ever been. And I know I said I wasn't going to put my opinion in here, but now I'm mad because I was just looking up more facts and more research. Did you know that 13% of dog bites and dog attacks are by Labrador retrievers and 8% are by pit bulls? And the pit bulls that are claimed to be attacking people might not even be pit bulls, because all we know is that they're bully breeds. So labs that everyone loves attack 5% more than pit bulls do. And oh my gosh, and okay, here's the part that gets me though. The media won't report and has told the ASPCA that they're not interested in reporting any dog bites besides pit bulls.
This evening, a 69-year-old Roswell woman is recovering after emergency surgery today. She was attacked by a pit bull.
A woman is in critical condition and a pit bull is shot dead. All
of 2 dogs running through the streets of Stockton. The dogs killed a cat, bit 2 people before one of the dogs was shot by a Stockton police officer.
Pit bull attacks his new owner in North Idaho just 24 hours after the man adopted the dog.
A deadly pit bull attack that left a toddler dead.
Peak neighborhoods on alert after a pit bull attacked a young boy this weekend.
And I think what gets to me isn't that the media is like that. I think what gets to me is the fact that they're like that because of us. Because that's what we want to consume, because pit bulls are so polarizing. We need to do better. We need to educate ourselves instead of listening to 30 seconds to 2 minutes of a pit bull attack and assuming that all pit bulls are bad. We need to look back on the 8 years of that pit bull's life. It's just, it's a lot.
I researched online and I really honestly couldn't figure out the exact number of fatal pit bull attacks in 2017, because when you research about pit bulls, there's a lot of opinions and not a lot of facts. So I've spent so many hours trying to figure out just the solid facts, and it's really, really difficult. What I've concluded is there's about 20 fatal pit bull attacks. What I also thought to research, because I was like, geez, that's a lot of people. But then I researched fatal cow attacks. There's 22. So it kind of had me guessing, like, does this just happen, like, because there's so many people and so many animals and so much room for error? There's obviously going to be things that go wrong from time to time. So 22 cow-related deaths is also what I figured out. Pit bulls make up the largest percentage of dogs in the shelter. They make up about 40% of dogs in the shelter. 1.2 million dogs are killed in shelters each year. About 40% are pit bulls. That means that over 500,000 dogs that die in the shelters are pit bulls, and there has to be a reason why. I really wanted to get to the bottom of why they're in shelters, and there's 5 main reasons that I kind of figured out, and when I researched, these were the 5 most common reasons that they were in shelters. So the first was overpopulation / backyard breeders. The second was owners that couldn't keep them anymore. The third was breed-specific legislation. The fourth was dogfighting, and the fifth was low adoption rates. So I'm gonna really quick cover each and every single one to kind of explain why that is and the information and reason behind it. In 1993, pit bulls made up about 1% of dogs. Now they make about 5 to 10% of dogs, which, even though they make up 5 to 10% of dogs, that's still 40% of dogs in shelters, which is pretty crazy. The one thing that I think is a lot of backyard breeders are responsible. Good breeders have contracts where they take the dog back if the owner can't keep them anymore. They take the dog back if the owner dies. They take the dog back if for some reason the dog can't live at the place that it was sold to. Unfortunately, backyard breeders want to make quick cash, so they're selling puppies too young, they're not taking care of them, and they're not vetting their new homes. So a lot of the dogs are ending up in the shelters that are sold by backyard breeders. One thing I want to urge you to do is either get a dog from a really good breeder, and good breeder prices can be anywhere from $1,500 to over $5,000, or get a dog from the shelter. Never get a dog for $300 that's from Craigslist and is supposedly a designer breed or this specific bloodline that's 6 weeks old. That's supporting what is ending up so many dogs in shelters. If you want to be smart, if you want to be a responsible dog owner and a dog lover, either get the dogs from the shelter or get the dogs from really responsible breeders. Don't support the breeders that are just making fast cash by exploiting dogs. As far as breed-specific legislation, what it is banning a specific breed of dog in an area. So, for example, a lot of areas have banned the pit bulls, but this is shown not to work in decreasing dog bites or dog attacks, so a lot of places are actually reversing it. Shout out to Italy. But the problem with this is a lot of landlords and insurance companies look at pit bulls as a liability. So breed-specific legislation isn't only with a specific place, it's also with the landlords, the insurance company. This leads to why owners can't keep them anymore. If owners are forced to move and they have a pit bull and the place they have to move to doesn't allow pit bulls, unfortunately they're not going to be able to keep their pit bull, and their pit bull is going to end up in a shelter. Low adoption rates. So for low adoption rates, I thought a study was really interesting, and I'll link the study somewhere in here. Pretty much what they did is they found 2 lookalike dogs, and the dogs that were labeled pit bull mixes took 3 times longer to adopt and were way less appealing than the lookalikes that were labeled boxer or other breed mixes. So there really is a stigma behind the word pit bull, and just changing the name makes the dog more adoptable. And dog fighting. So even though it's a felony in all 50 states, it still occurs underground quite frequently. If you go to the pound, unfortunately, a lot of dogs you see there have been subject to dog fighting. I think one thing that I found really interesting that I didn't know about dog fighting is that dogs that are in the dog fighting industry that are exploited actually usually don't show any human aggression. And the reason for this is that to the dog fighters, when they're fighting dogs, so they have 2 dogs in a ring, a referee is standing in the ring with them. If the dogs go towards the ref or bite the ref or go after the ref or show any aggression towards the ref, they are executed on the spot. There is no tolerance in the dogfighting world for going after people, because dogs have to go from the highest state of mind to fighting each other to being able to be pulled away and nice to their handlers, which is really interesting. So yes, some pit bulls unfortunately have been bred into having dog aggression, but those dogs actually are probably more tolerant than to people than most dogs, because they've been forced to be at the worst conditions, highest and most intense state of mind, and have to turn around and be amazing to their handler. That's exploiting them. So kind of goes to show they're a pretty people-friendly breed. So I was looking around, and I think a couple things that I thought were interesting that I feel are completely necessary to point out is, one, that labs actually have 5% more bites recorded each year than pit bulls do. Right now they have they're responsible for 13.3% of dog bites in the United States, where pit bulls are responsible for 8.8%. So I think that's interesting, because labs are so thought of as a completely bomb-proof, super user-friendly breed, where pit bulls are a lot of the times portrayed as this awful dog, where it's just kind of interesting because I wouldn't have thought of that. Also, I'm going to put up right here, Pitbulls and Staffordshire Terriers have over an 86% tolerance for on the American tolerance test for human interaction, human things, environmental testing. So I thought that was super interesting as well.
April 2007, investigators uncovered an illegal dogfighting operation on the Virginia farm of NFL superstar quarterback Michael Vick.
But the pit bulls rescued from Michael Vick's farm were given a second chance with incredible results.
One of the dogs is a dog named Hector. Lift the dog's head up a little bit so you can see what old Hector
You see right here on his chest and down his legs, you see the scars from the fighting. But
this dog is a therapy dog. It's unimaginable to me.
These scars are all external. He doesn't have any internal scars.
Isn't that something?
Okay, so it's 3 a.m. right now, and my mind has not stopped. I think so I was planning on talking to media people talking to rescues. But I think that would do more damage than it would good. And my reason for thinking that is, one, media people have an agenda, and I don't think it's an anti-pit agenda. I think the media people's agenda is to get something that pulls people in and draws people in and gets the most views possible. And pit bulls are polarizing, and us as people like to watch them. So the reason for the media only reporting on bully breeds is because they've made bully breeds out to be a menace to society. And that story that they've created has caused a lot of views and attention for their news show. As far as pit bulls being aggressive and not good pets, I think where I feel after doing all of this research for the last couple days and going to the pound and educating myself and just having so many experiences with pit bulls, I think where I'm at is they're a big dog. Any big dog can do a lot of damage. They were bred for fighting, so some of the line of pit bulls is going to have a lot more prey instinct than just a normal dog. So if you're getting a pit bull, one, if it's your first dog, you probably should really get experience with dogs before owning a pit bull. And two, if you're getting a pit bull and have smaller dogs or other dogs, you're going to want to make sure that you vet this pit bull and that you do an evaluation and that you get a trainer by your side or somebody by your side that can make sure that this pit bull is going to fit into your lifestyle. I think the only concern I get with dog fighting is not that these dogs are going to be super aggressive towards people. I think what scares me when even talking about it is they're breeding out of these dogs their pack mentality and their ability to submiss. So I think the only thing that gets scary is if you have pit bulls in a multiple dog home and don't know what you're doing with dogs and just don't really look out for any behavioral issues. Overall, would I own a pit bull? 100% yes. I want to go get the one in the first clip, that's the brown one. I want to name him Soup, and I want to take him home and I want to cuddle with him all day and all night. But as far as dogs go, this is the story that the news has created, that the people have bought, me and you have bought and have paid attention to. And in order to change this around, we need to educate ourselves. I dare you, if you think that pits are bad, to go to the shelter and spend a day volunteering. I dare you to go around pit bulls and just see for yourself, because it gets tiring hearing people say, I saw this on the news, or my cousin's best friend's acquaintance's son's second cousin got bit by a pit bull. Experience it for yourself. Educate yourself, and let's have a conversation. I'm not saying pit bulls can't do damage. All I'm saying is every dog can do damage, and it's up to us to educate ourselves on animal behavior if we're going to get a dog that can do damage. Same with a lab, a golden retriever, a pit bull, a Doberman, a Rottweiler. They're all big dogs. They all can do damage. I think how I want to end this, and it's hard because when I was at the pound today, you see the fear in all those dogs' eyes. You see that they just want somebody to love them. And to think that we, as people, have made these guys out to be monsters when all they want is somebody to love them is heartbreaking. And it really gets me down on society, and it makes me feel embarrassed to be a human being. And we need to do better.